Time for the main event!
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you like the new setup here. I'm trying to include all my cool collectibles and everything. I'm going to buy some lights when I get some more money so that you can actually see everything. I got my stack of games here because we're going to talk about this here in a minute. And I'm going to have some cool wrestling matches playing on this screen while I'm recording videos and stuff. So that way there's always something going on and catches your eye, and hopefully I can get the lighting right so it's not so bright over here. But yeah, with that being said, the title of this video might scare some of you off, might annoy some of you, but I'm just going to come out and say it. WWE 2K26 is probably my last wrestling game on a PlayStation console. Now, why is that a big deal? Who cares what console I buy it on? Just play it where you want to play it. Well, let me elaborate here, and let me show you why, for me personally, why this is such a huge deal. Let's get into it. Alright, so here is my collection of wrestling games on the PlayStation 5, basically PS4 carried over and all that kind of stuff. It would show the PS3 and PS2 if they were digital back then, obviously the PS1, but obviously for reasons they're not. So I just wanted to show you why, for me personally, this is such a big deal, because I have been playing wrestling games on PlayStation all the way back since the original SmackDown on PS1. If there was a multi-console wrestling game, I typically pretty much bought it on the PlayStation, mainly because of SmackDown, because of this franchise. This franchise made me a PlayStation fan. If it wasn't for SmackDown on the original PlayStation, I probably would have stuck with Nintendo. I probably would have migrated over to Xbox and stuck with Xbox because I absolutely loved Halo at the time. The only thing that kept bringing me back to PlayStation every single generation was because of the SmackDown franchise. And because I had played them all on the PlayStation over the years, the SmackDown franchise that is now the 2K franchise, the buttons, the button layouts, the combination, all that kind of stuff are ingrained into my brain forever. And every time I try to play it on a different console, even though I did migrate over to Xbox 360, which I finally got used to it over there, but it just didn't feel right because of the way the PlayStation controllers are set up. Because I got so used to playing wrestling games on the PlayStation controller, I just could not get as good as I was on the PlayStation. Now, I played the living crap out of SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, 2008, all the way up until 2012, where I went back to PlayStation, and I kind of like something clicked in my brain where I was just really, really good at the games again. I wasn't terrible or anything on the Xbox versions, but I was never quite as good as I was on the PlayStation. It doesn't make any sense to me, other than the fact that because the controller layouts were ingrained into my brain. Anyway, with that being said, let's look at the list of games here that I have. Every time there's a wrestling game, if it comes to PlayStation and it's on other platforms, I default wrestling games to PlayStation. Now, to be fair, all Lego games I default to Xbox because you can still play the old Lego games via backwards compatibility on the Xbox Series X. So there's that. So anyway, so we got Action Arcade Wrestling. Half the game is missing because the character creator or creator wrestler is not included on the console version, but you can go to the PC if you have a powerful PC, make wrestlers and upload them and download them on the PlayStation version. So that's pretty cool. So I feel like that's why this version of the game didn't do well, because it's missing half the game. Like, if they could have figured out a way to get the creator wrestler in there, I think this game would have taken off and done a lot better. Anyway, we all know the tragedy of AEW Fight Forever. It kind of feels more like a tech demo, like a beta, if you will, than a finished product, because it's missing so much stuff. Very fun wrestling combat, very fun everything. It's just missing a lot of stuff. And then 2K15, I bought it physically on the console. I did not buy it day one because they removed so much stuff. Like, you couldn't even create a female wrestler in the game. So I waited until it was on steep discount, and yeah, I played through. I think that's the one that had the Ultimate Warrior Showcase, is it not? Silence comments below. I got it, played the Warrior Showcase, did a bunch of matches, and this is like one of the only ones I ever traded in. That's how much I dislike 2K15. That's like one of the only wrestling games I ever traded in because you couldn't do anything creatively in the game. Battlegrounds, what a huge letdown that was. It was supposed to be the follow-up to All-Stars or a spiritual successor to WWE All-Stars. Not even close. Not even close. It had a crap ton of wrestlers in it, huge roster. I was digging the art style, but the gameplay and the way they decided to pretty much lock out all content to having to be connected to the internet to unlock the coins to get all the wrestlers pretty much killed the game almost instantly. And this game has been delisted, by the way. This game is no longer available, and I do have it physically, which we'll go over my physical games here in a second. Retro Mania Wrestling. I've only loaded this up a couple times because I was never really good at the Super Nintendo style of wrestling games. I need a 3D thing. I mean, it's more like a fighting game, but it is fun. It is fun. So that's a fun wrestling game, and I think they had a Macho Man DLC, which I should have covered on this channel, but I never got around to it. Guacamelee, not your typical wrestling game. It is a Metroidvania luchador wrestling game. All his moves that help you get across the world and stuff are all wrestling moves, and it's freaking amazing. Like, he can do a shoulder tackle across a ravine. He can run up a wall and do an elbow drop. Just, you can grab enemies and pile drive them into the ground, do suplexes. Masterfully done. 2D Metroidvania. If you haven't played Guacamelee 1 and 2, I highly recommend it. Then, of course, we all know Fire Pro Wrestling, which I am shocked that this game has not come to the Switch 2 or the Switch. Like, that's an easy win. That game would be massive on the Nintendo Switch 2, especially because it's pretty much completely taken over Japan. Nintendo owns Japan now, especially now with Sony going all digital. They own Japan. Then we got 2K20 or 2K16. I think that's the one with the Terminator, right? So I got that one physically locked out unless I go get it all. I might not have. Oh no, it's right here. Okay. 2K17. This is back when I first went with the digital copy because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get digital this year. I'm going to try it out. And I hated it. I felt dirty. I couldn't stand it. I think it's the only one I don't have physically other than 2K15 because I have it digitally with all the stuff in here. And I did try to download it to play it because I was curious to see if it would function. It took like 3 hours to download with I have fiber optic internet and really good high-speed internet, and it took forever to download. And I mean, it worked once it downloaded, but I'm not sure why it took so long to download. It's because they probably don't want you to play it. They probably put the game on the crappiest server possible just for their obligatory, you have to be able to re-download it, and that's probably why it took so long. Now, 2K18, I did buy that physically. In fact, it's right here on PlayStation. And then for 2K19, I was really annoyed with PlayStation for some reason at the time, and I tried to dabble into Xbox One, because I think the Xbox One X might have came out around then. So I have this both physical and digital on, I believe it was this platform, and I even have it on the Xbox Series X or the Xbox One, and I bought both the high-end editions. They were super low price when I got them, but I have it both on the system. Now, 2K20, I waited till a steep discount during the pandemic at Best Buy. It was like, I think it was on sale for like $35 for the best creme de la creme edition on the PlayStation. So I ended up getting that, and I ended up playing that and Animal Crossing for almost the entirety. Oh, and Phantasy Star Online 2 for the entirety of the pandemic. Like, Phantasy Star Online 2 has the most played hours for me in any game ever because you can just log it. It gave you something to do, that and Animal Crossing. And then there was this game. This is probably my most played wrestling game out of all of these, mainly because I wasn't sure where my next paycheck was going to come. Even though it was a buggy mess, I played the living crap out of it. I made I want to say 60 wrestlers in that game, which I've been trying to remake every single year, but I get burnt out because work and the fact that, well, I have to make all these wrestlers again. And then we're going on to 2K22, which I bought digitally and physically. It's right here next to me. 2K23, I think, did I not buy that one? I don't think I bought the rest of these. I might have bought 2K24. I'm not seeing it here. Could have sworn I bought those. But these last couple of years, because of the channel, because I buy them on multiple consoles, multiple versions of the game, I have not bought these last games physically. Now, my goal is to collect the entire franchise physically, so I have something cool on the shelf, like, you have a whole collection or everything. And I just got to go back and find it cheap on Amazon or a used game sale. But it's cool that that option is still there. Correct? Now, let's say I didn't buy it digital and I skipped it for a year. Well, my collection would be incomplete. But anyway, the whole point of this video is to shine a light on how big of a deal it is for me personally to basically be done buying wrestling games on PlayStation. And we'll go over my collection right next to me too. So, in fact, let's get to that. Alright, not to turn this into a collection video or anything, but I just want to show you what I'm talking about here. We got the original SmackDown, and it's in there. It's not just an empty case. It's in pretty good condition too. SmackDown 2, which is the one that really locked me into the franchise all the way up until now. Let's see. Let's start with the older games first. We got Just Bring It, another great one with the great one on it. SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. Arguably my favorite wrestling game of all time, and a lot of others. This game had such the impact of the moves, the speed, the gameplay feel, just everything about this game. It just made it the best wrestling game of all time. And to me personally, the only thing that comes close to this one, for me, is 2K14. 2K14 was right there. It felt like they finally got back to what this one, the essence of this one, was 2K14. And 2K26, if it wasn't for all the monetization practices and the grind that they have in that game, we'd be pretty close to this one again, because it has the speed, it has the fun. It's just the microtransactions, the grindiness of all the modes. It kind of ruined the game. And then, like I said, 2K14, I even have the Daniel Bryan cover on there. Again, this whole point of this video is to show you why this is such a big deal for me personally. 13, this is the one that brought me back, or no, it was 12. So 13, 12. This is when I came back to the PlayStation, because on the 360, I switched over at 2007, which we'll go here in a second. Then we got 2K16, 18 Deluxe Edition on the PlayStation 4, 2K19 on Xbox and PlayStation, because I want to make sure I had a physical copy. I was trying to get them all on PlayStation, because that way they're all the same on the shelf over there. 2K20, the one that everybody hates, just to prove to you that I have it physically. It still has the code and everything in there. But yeah, 2K22, new inbox. I played the crap out of this because it had been such a long time since they released the last one. And we'll go a little bit older here, to my older games. So 2011 was the last one I played religiously on the Xbox console, and this might be where I end up. I'm a little scared to go into the Xbox ecosystem because of all the uncertainty with the whole layoff and everything that they've been doing. The most logical choice, 2010, the most logical choice would probably be to go to Steam, because, well, no matter what, your library will carry with you and carry forward as long as you have access to Steam. So unless something happens to Steam, I want to say that's probably the platform to get it on. It'd be nice if they were all on GOG, 2008. 2007 was another main one. So for me, my three top favorite games in this franchise are Here Comes the Pain, 2007, and 2K14. Those are my favorite ones. Those are all amazing. And then, of course, we got other games that aren't WWE 2K. We got Rumble Roses. I still got that physically. I think I bought that digital too, because that way I don't have to put the disc in every time. WWE All-Stars. This is the only way to play this game physically, unless, of course, you go to a certain website and get it, a ROM of it, which I should probably do. Anyway, so the only way to play this is on a disc. None of these will work on a new console, which is ridiculous to me that that's the case. I wish I was really into PC gaming when this was on PC, because I probably would have... I don't know. Actually, I don't know if that was on PC at the time. Then Legends of WrestleMania. This needs a sequel, also, along with All-Stars. There's the physical copy of Fire Pro, one of the great Offshoot wrestling games. The discontinued Battlegrounds, All Stars on PlayStation 3 also. AW Fight Forever physically. I bought it digitally first because I wanted to cover it on the channel, and then I found it on a good sale. I also have it on the Switch, which that version of the game is not very good. Then, of course, we got all these offshoot wrestling games, which we don't really have anymore. Like Ultimate Muscle, I would love if this franchise came back, but I don't see that happening. Showdown Legends of Wrestling. It would be awesome to get this franchise to come back now that Acclaim is back. That'd be really cool, but I don't think they have the money to get all the licensing and everything. Then I got some Japanese imports of Ultimate Muscle games, which were kind of played more like Dead or Alive than a wrestling game. They were kind of weird. I got those. I got my least favorite wrestling game I own, Backyard Wrestling 2. I suck at this game. And of course, the first Rumble Roses. And if on my bed back there, if you look in the back of the video, if you can see that, those are all my N64, No Mercy, all those type of games over there. GameCube, Def Jam Vendetta. I ended up buying those on the, the Xbox and the GameCube at the time. So I was really, really into GameCube. But for the most part, most of my games, most of my collection, almost all of it has been on a PlayStation. And I think it's time to finally move on to a different platform, to play wrestling games on something new. Because as much as I love playing wrestling games on my PlayStation, mainly because I have the buttons memorized in my brain forever and ever, it might be time to move on. And if I get on Xbox, I could travel to New Zealand and get the game early like a lot of other YouTubers do. A lot of people are shocked that I don't do that. It's like, well, I get it on PlayStation every year, so I'll just wait for the PlayStation version. But so as I was editing the video and putting my games away, I noticed I missed a few that I want to make sure I include in this video because I showed most of my collection. I still have all the N64 ones over there, but I'm mostly focusing on PlayStation, and these are all PlayStation games. So I've got, I believe this is Wrestle Kingdom. I can't read Japanese, but I got this on here on my imported PlayStation. I did eventually find SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 for pretty cheap at my local used game store. Not GameStop, it's called Double Jump Video Games. They're pretty cool. This is from back then, 2006, another great one in the lineup. And it was so cool when these two guys were on top of the whole mountain. That was awesome. That was the great time to be a wrestling fan. Then we also got SmackDown vs. Raw with the crazy Vince McMahon. I think this is the first. This is when they first turned it into the SmackDown vs. Raw series, and I still think we should go back to this. The 2K name, I think, is cursed. And then I did get All-Stars on this PlayStation because I have a modded PS2. I wanted to see how it ran on there. Other than it looking a little fuzzy, it actually runs pretty decent on here. I still prefer the Xbox and PS3 versions. I managed to get all the achievements on the Xbox version, and unfortunately, I didn't get to it in time on the PlayStation, so I don't have the Platinum, but I guess it doesn't matter at this point. Crush Hour. Very fun, also very difficult game if you're not used to how it plays and stuff. So, just want to make sure I include those in the video. I still have a bunch of games on the bed, but we're focusing on the PlayStation aspect of these. So, that being said, the prospect of traveling to New Zealand and getting the game early on Xbox by switching to Xbox, that's a huge, incentive to switch to Xbox, but Xbox doesn't have mods, and Xbox doesn't have a way to back up the game, should I want to, on my hard drive, away from Steam. There are ways to do that. There are ways to make it so the game is pretty much forever in your library. You have your local backup. People do that all the time. You can't really do that on PlayStation, Xbox, or the Switch. So I think going forward for wrestling games, for the sake of wrestling game preservation, it's time to go to PC. I'll still buy games on the PlayStation up until they pretty much stop doing physical media. I do feel like this is my last generation on consoles in general. The older I get, the more I'm leaning more towards PC anyway, with Steam and everything. If we're going to go all digital, kind of defeats the purpose of consoles for me personally, because the whole point of consoles for me is to collect games, have physical, a physical item in my hands to put on the shelf. The way they function, The game being included, all on the cartridge or whatever, the disc, which hasn't been a thing forever. Nintendo games are on the cartridge. That'd be cool. Now, what if this whole thing blows up in our faces as the users, and instead of them just, let's say they're not getting rid of physical media and going all digital. Let's say they're getting rid of physical discs and they're going to cartridges like Nintendo. That would be much better because I think cartridges are much faster. And it'd be really cool to just see Sony make cartridges, but that would mean all of our old games from the PS4 and PS5 generation would not be compatible on the PS6 unless they had a external hard drive to play those games. I have a feeling they're going to do that anyway, like where you plug it in with a USB-C port and it's just this thing that hangs off the system so you can play your old disc games. I think that's what they're going to do, and it's going to be extremely limited. They're obviously going to sell out of those like crazy because they're going to want you to buy the digital console. As I stated in the thumbnail, this is my last wrestling game on a PlayStation console. So I'm switching to PC for the wrestling games. Are you switching consoles, or are you going to stick with what you have until this end of this generation? If you have an Xbox, are you sticking with it? If you have a PlayStation 5, are you sticking with that? Because let's face it, the console prices are pretty high. And if you have a Switch 2, are you going to stick with that until the end of the generation? And is this your last generation? Because I think when it comes to consoles, I think this might be it for me. Thank you for watching, as always, and stay frosty.